Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be doing a top 10 list for Star Wars Legion. These are top 10 things that Star Wars Legion absolutely needs to have. We're going to be going all throughout my top 10 things, starting with number 10, moving all the way up to number 1. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know before you get too deep into this video. I want to hear some of your, give me maybe your top 3 down in the comments. We'll see if they match up, and we'll kind of, then you can kind of see where it goes from there. I also want to hear, once we're over with, what did you agree with? What didn't you agree with? Conversation continues also in our Discord. You can jump in we have a great family-friendly Discord for all about Star Wars Legion, Star Wars Armada, Star Wars X-Wings, Shatterpoint. We talk about all kinds of gaming in there. Very family-friendly. I'd love to have you guys stick around. Plus, we're doing a big giveaway for a $50 Amazon gift card that's still running all throughout the end of July. So you'll have plenty of time left still to enter that. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos to have a chance to win that as well. So let's go ahead and jump into number 10 of the 10 things Legion needs. Number 10 is Jango Fett. Look, we've got so many bounty hunters. There's definitely more that eventually need to show up, and I'm sure we will continue to get more bounty hunters. We absolutely need Jango Fett. We've got multiple versions of Boba Fett already. Would it be that weird to see Boba and his son side by side? I mean, you already saw Boba and a whole bunch of clones, or rather Jango and a whole bunch of clones fighting along, kind of alongside each other. Plus, he was at the Battle of Geonosis. He was there at the beginning of the Clone Wars. If we got Darth Maul for the Separatists, we can clearly get Jango Fett able to be used by the Separatists. I mean, there's a whole mercenary system. I just can't imagine why he wouldn't be in game yet. Plus, Mandalorians are super popular. Mandalorian models are super popular. So many people are taking other existing Mandalorian models and painting them chrome. And he also just showed up in Star Wars Shatterpoint, so there's clearly no problem with being able to create Jango Fett. He absolutely should show up in the game, and it's kind of surprising that he's not yet, because I bet you he would be really good too. I bet you he would be quite skilled at taking down Jedi too. I would be kind of surprised if he didn't have Jedi Hunter. I thought that'd be a pretty good one for him. So I don't know. I guess we'd have to wait and see. But yeah, he could be really good. I'd love to see him. I'm surprised he's not here yet. Number 9. They're not all going to be specific units, as in the case of number 9. We need more core upgrade packs, and it's time for that Wave 2 core upgrade packs. I'm talking about Snow Troopers, Fleet Troopers, B2 Super Battle Droids, and the Phase 2 Clone Troopers. Look, all of the first wave of Troopers got a Specialists pack. Where's our Specialists pack for all the rest of our core troopers, at least for that second wave? There's plenty more that could be happening for the third wave and stuff like that, although the third wave is in a pretty good spot right now. And I get that in some cases snow troopers are seeing a little bit of help with things like Blizzard Force, but that doesn't mean you can't still do a extra wave of specialists packs for these guys. Maybe the specialists can't go in Blizzard Force. Maybe they're, specialists for variations of snow troopers. Hey, we're underwater snow troopers. We didn't get used on Hoth, so we're not part of Blizzard Force and that battle force. But if you want to use us anywhere else, because hey, I love the idea of using snow troopers. I enjoy using snow troopers. I also really like the idea of using fleet troopers outside of just a single fleet trooper that happens to go in an AA5 or something like that. I think B2 Super Battle Droids need some help. And the Phase 2s, I mean, they're not terrible, but they don't have as much diversity as the Phase 1s have. And I really would love to see some great ways to take advantage of this second tier of core troopers in the same way that they did. The first tier kind of felt like they were setting a precedent for things that never came to fruition. And that's going to be a little bit of a common thread that you'll see in multiple times throughout this particular list. Moving on from number 9 to number 8. 8 is Mounted Commanders. Mounted Commanders. This is something they did in a game that preceded or predated Legion, and that was a game called Rune Wars. miniatures game. You had mounted commanders that came with like 2 different versions, and you could run the mounted version or the unmounted version, or sometimes they could be like mounted and then they could dismount in the middle, and they'd have different stats. Like maybe the mount, they didn't have full range of motion, so they couldn't do their kicks and stuff like that when they're on their mounts. And then all of a sudden, now that they get off the mount, they're slower. They didn't have the speed that the mount gave them. Or maybe they had a few more, hit points or something like that, because the mount could absorb some damage too. But now that they're down on the ground, they're able to do some things that they couldn't do when they were on the mount, but they're also a little more vulnerable. As a way to it's almost a way to give them transport capability just for your commander, and also be super thematic. There's so many commanders that we do see using some type of transport. Maybe not everybody, but it certainly could work. There's a lot of ways to make it work. There's a lot of cool things you could do. Obviously, Grievous and his bike there with the little legs on it and doing all that crazy stuff is a really cool example. But there's other options too, like Han Solo on a Tauntaun, or Luke Skywalker on a Tauntaun for that matter, or Obi-Wan riding any method of beast that he's ridden throughout the years. I think it'd be a really cool way to spice up the game a little bit and to do a little different type of commander option. Could be really cool. Plus, and maybe they could work as like a field commander, and then they have a special thing where they deploy the ground unit afterwards. Plus, it's another way to get alternate sculpts of characters that might only exist in soft plastic. There's just so many cool things you can do with it. I feel like mounted commanders is something that needs to happen. Next up, it's, you heard me talk about this not too long ago, Wookie Battle Force. Look, to make a Wookie Battle Force, you could do something as simple as a PDF and just say, hey, look, use all the Wookiees you want and nothing else, go for it. Maybe Yoda can go in there, maybe not. Maybe you don't need core, maybe you just keep using Wookiees, whatever. But they could also make 1 or 2 new expansions for Wookiees to kind of round out and make them a really, really good battle force. I think they're worth it. I think they're really cool. You have that turret, you have that catamaran, you have a lot of other things. You got a couple other Wookiee named characters. You've got Chrysanthemum, for crying out loud, who really needs to be in there. Let's get a Wookiee battle force rounded out and delivered. I think it would be really, really cool. Moving on to number 6, it's Mace Windu. Okay, I mean, look, I'm a fan of lots of different Jedi showing up in all of my games. It's one of my favorite parts of tabletop gaming, is having those super powerful characters, those super awesome characters that are worth a whole lot of points, and so you have to be careful with them, not to put them out in the open, and then they die before they even get close enough to melee, which I do all the time. But I'd love to have more Jedi, and Mace Windu also gives you an alternate color, since you can do that amethyst lightsaber, which would be really, really cool. We don't have any of those yet, like we're getting Inquisitors, which is cool. We have lots more red sabers, which is great. And we do have a few different characters. We just got Ahsoka and Asajj, so that's cool. But man, Mace Windu gives us purple lightsabers, super cool. And also, dude beat Palpatine, right? Like, I mean, he had help, but he could be really, really strong. He could be one of the strongest Jedi. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of command cards that are all about helping everybody else. Maybe he is very much... I mean, I imagine he'd be kind of similar in some ways to Anakin. Probably a lot more expensive. I see him being like a 220 point commander or something like that. I could see him being, definitely expensive. And possibly even being slow. Like having like that Darth Vader kind of presence on the battlefield. It's just like, no, Mace Windu, look, Mace Windu is just gonna lead these guys, and he's gonna take no prisoners. But if he gets to you, he's cutting you down. Like it would just be really cool, and I'd love to see it happen. I really would, especially if they do go with because he's in Shatterpoint now too, and you have like this animated kind of version of him that they did for Shatterpoint, so they could do more of a live action version of him for Legion. I really think that could happen, and I hope it does happen. Moving on to number 5, Daffomerians, Night Sisters, Daffomerian subfaction, whichever you want to call it. This is a pack that's also coming out for Star Wars Shatterpoint, but I feel like it could do even better in Legion than it could in Shatterpoint. So the fact that it's coming out in Shatterpoint makes me think, really, come on, guys, we got so much here. This is a faction that I feel like they were made, not made for Legion, but Legion, like, did they just fit so well into Legion that it feels like they were made for Legion? You've got so many characters that would associate or be appropriate for this kind of battle force already, right? You've already got multiple versions of Maul, so maybe they could both go into here. Maybe only one could. You've got Asajj Ventress already, which is really, really good. So you've got a lot of stuff to add on to this, but at its core, you could have Mother Talzin, you could have you could have bow and arrow Night Sisters, you could have the zombies that gets raised from the dead. You can have multiple different core options right there. You can also have Night Brothers. You saw a lot of these in like Jedi Fallen Order. And you have a lot of different characters. You can also do Savage Opress, which absolutely makes sense. There's so much here, and you did see this is one of the few planets on Dathomir that you did see a full Legion-style war take place. And so, like, this is just perfect. Like, it really, really works. You've got some of the art already in there for Legion. You've got, like, the witch magic stuff going on. And, like, I feel like it really, really works. And it'd be a great way to maybe find another use for, like, Lord Maul. Maybe Lord Maul can work in here. Maybe Darth Maul can work in here. Maybe they both can work in here. Not 100% sure exactly how that would work. But it'd be really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they do something like this, because it could be a super fun battle force to paint up and to do really cool and clever things with basing and just customizing these guys. It'd be so cool. I think it'd be a really fun one. Moving on to number 4, kind of related to the last one, Cal Kestis. Look, Jedi Fallen Order, very popular game. Jedi Survivor also came out. This is a franchise that's doing really well, or I should say like a sub-franchise within Star Wars. And look, they've done video game characters before. We've got Iden Versio, right? We should definitely get Cal. It makes sense for a number of reasons. The popularity and recognizability with Jedi Survivor coming out and getting very good reviews. I played through the game. I definitely have my thoughts on it. I actually in some ways I kind of hated it, but in other ways I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Like it's a fun game to play in a lot of ways. But the story I thought was kind of weird. I don't know. I'll talk about it later. We'll talk about that on the Discord. I think that's too far off topic here. Regardless, I definitely like Cal Kestis throughout all of it. Like, despite some of the other people that he runs into and some of my opinions on them and the writing of the story and stuff like that, Cal is always in a good light, and I always really like what's going on with him. I like his portrayal of the character as well. So he's just a really likable character for me. And there's so many really cool ways that he could fit into this game. So for one, he's got BD1. Well, that works. That works really well. Similar to Iden Versio, they could have a whole little small miniature with him. There's also a lot of supporting characters in this series of games that could also come in that same wave that could totally work, which would be super nice and very cool. Plus, Marin, who's also a Night Sister and can feed into a Night Sister's faction. So again, some of this it all weaves together like a flock of seagulls. I don't know how that's a flock of seagulls. I don't know. Sometimes my hands, I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm making these videos. So I'm just gonna hold them up here. So anyway, Cal Kestis definitely would work. There's also still room in the Rebels for more Jedi, especially if we're going to be getting other Jedi. Down. Like Mace Windu and stuff like that. So lots of room for more Jedi, and I think that's really cool. Super excited to see him show up. And think of the build options too, since he's so customizable. They could give you like 3 or 4 different heads. You could do clean shaven Cal from the first game, you could do stubble Cal from the second game, or you could get some like wild hairdos because he's so customizable. You could give him lots of different lightsaber options since he's so customizable with his lightsaber, whether he wants to use 2 sabers, 1 saber, a double-bladed saber, and other things. I don't want to do too many spoilers of like some of the unlocks that happen throughout the game, but there's some really cool options. Maybe he'll have lightsaber nunchucks in the 3rd game. I don't know. That'd be super cool. And it's already canon too. Obi-Wan used lightsaber nunchucks. So would be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. All right, we're getting into the top 3. Before we do that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. I know you hear me talk about these tokens. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're wonderful. I use them in my games. They really shine on the tabletop. If you use code Crabbok VIP, not only are you going to save 15%, but orders of $35 or more are going to get that free Crabbok token. It's got the lightsaber nunchucks on it. It's got the C on the front. The 5 on the back helps keep track of damage in higher intervals, much easier. You're going to get that thrown in free while supplies last. So definitely, they were out of stock for a while. They're back in stock now. So act now. Get yourself some awesome tokens. Head over to luxuryplaystyle.com. Check these Legion compatible tokens out. Plus, there's tokens for other games as well. You're going to love these tokens. Don't forget that code, Crabbok VIP. All right, so on to number 3 for things that Legion needs to have. Okay. The Corpeneck Droid. These things are massively awesome. And as soon as I saw this on my screen in Book of Boba Fett, I said, "Oh my gosh." Kind of like that. Like, it was really cool. Loved this thing. And it fits perfectly into the game. The size is perfect for a heavy. Absolutely perfect. It fits right away. Super perfect. Super, super, super perfect. Love, 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 love it. It's close enough to it still being kind of recent that I think it would work and probably still have some recognizability. And it totally fits into Shadow Collective, right? Or maybe you even just say, all right, no, the Pikes are going to be a sub-faction. I mean, the Pikes brought this thing to Tatooine. Or and what's so great about this is they brought 2 of them. 2 of these things in the streets of Mos Eisley, right? Like, dude, come on. Like, perfect. Just perfect. Oh my gosh. Dude. Oh, it's you couldn't have made it better if you try. Like, it's just wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And maybe you even get like a Rancor and Boba riding a Rancor to go with the same wave. Like, you could, there's everything about like the finale of Book of Boba Fett just kind of feeds its way into Star Wars Legion and things that should be in Star Wars Legion. Like, this was like the finale of this was kind of like a Star Wars Legion game. It was so cool, so cool. And so much of this is already in the game right now too. There's so much you can already do to recreate this scene. You wouldn't need to add a whole lot, you know. But these guys would be awesome, awesome. And also big stuff is cool. Like I said, I really like Jedi. I also really like big vehicles. So this would be a fun one. All right, number 2, something you've heard me talk about before. That's right. We're gonna make you a bombard general. The Gungans. So this summer, I am doing something with my kids where I periodically will, you know, if you're a Star Wars fan, you've seen the movies before, you know, rewatch them from time to time. But and I've done this before, but like some of my kids were too young last time we all sat down and watched all of the Star Wars movies and did the whole movie marathon thing. And so we're doing this again, and we're going through them every couple of days. We do a movie night, and we watch all the movies, and we're doing them in order of release, not in chronological order, but in natural order of release. So we just got to episode 1 recently, and during this whole scene, I was thinking to myself, oh gosh, I need to make a video where I give myself an excuse to talk about why we need Gungans as a battle force in Star Wars Legion again, because this right here, I mean, granted, you're not going to get this much, right? Now, Legion was never really made to be the huge war game that I really want to see. Like, I want to see a game where you can actually get everything here on the tabletop. Every 100% of the units you see here, I want on the tabletop. Can't quite do that much in Legion, but you can get kind of close to this. You can at least get something that is reminiscent of this in Legion. You know, you could get like 5 or 6 core units of Gungans, like a heavy, and then some support, a commander, a mounted commander, Bombad General, mounted Jar Jar, and Captain Tarpos, right? They're mounted. Like, it just fits in everything else. It fits into everything else. Plus, I mean, we're getting Geonosians, right? We're getting Geonosians as a battle force. Makes sense to also get Gungans too. This should just be right around the corner. And, oh, man. Then you could just have flat battlefields. The shields could kind of provide all the cover you need. It's just, oh, my God. It'd be so gorgeous. Funny thing is, before I move on to number one, when this scene started, in the flowing hills in the background, my kids started, like, it's like, it must be a meme thing where they call this the Battle of Windows XP. I don't know. I thought that was weird. Anyway, let me know if you've ever heard that before. I thought that was so bizarre. Moving on to number one. Are you ready? What were your guesses so far? Before we get to number one, what were your guesses? Did you guys guess what number one might be? Because there is definitely more things that should show up in this game that didn't make my list. And if your guess didn't make my list, I want you to let me know in the comments. Also, jump in our Discord. Let me know in there, too. It's a great Discord. Love to have you guys continue the discussion. All right. Number one of things Legion needs. I talked about unfulfilled promises. This is a promise that began with Sabine Wren. The rest of the Ghost crew, come on, folks. Come on, man. This is an easy win for Atomic Mass Games. Give us the Ghost crew. Give us the Ghost crew as they appeared in Star Wars Rebels. Don't have to worry about the future and where it's taking them just yet. You can do multiple versions of a character. That's no problem. We're probably going to get old versions of these characters or some of these characters at some point. I mean, we've already seen live action Zeb, which is super cool, man. Like, but dude, we're getting Ahsoka now too. Like, there's never been a better time to be like, hey guys, the Rebels Ghost crew is coming out, because since the Ahsoka show that comes out next month, it's gonna have such an important presence of the Star Wars Rebels continuation and that storyline. We got to get the rest of these guys in here. Kanan and Ezra have been on my list from the very beginning. I mean, we're getting Inquisitors too, so come on with Kanan and Ezra. We need lightsabers on both sides. Rebels need more lightsabers. And I mean, and the thing is, they've danced around, and this is something I always kind of gripe about. It's, you know what really grinds my gears, is that they give us Sabine, and then they just go in a different direction. It's like, oh, we're going to get one possible character from every, like, interesting thing, but never complete anything. Like, the fact that they gave us Sabine and then moved away and then went in different directions after her wave and never kind of came back really annoyed me. But, like, because when they did Imperial Assault, they did, like, the whole crew. But then when they went and did it also in Legion, there's just like, oh, only Sabine. So frustrating to have only Sabine. And so then they went and did Agent Callus for the Empire. Oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool, but still no Grand Inquisitor or Thrawn. Or, okay, so you just do one more character. And then I was like, wait, it made me think, were they expecting, if they were going to make us wait like 5 years in between Rebels characters, how long were they really going to make us wait to get all of these characters, Because that could be a very, very long time. So, yes, they need to do and they could all fit different roles too. Kanan and Ezra, obviously their roles are pretty clear. Chopper could be a really cool character. You've already got R2-D2, so you've got droids already. You've got lots of different droids doing lots of different functions. He could be a super cool, fun one. Hera, amazing leader. She could just be everything. She could be calling in airstrikes. She could have really good support level cards while also having decent ranged offense. Zeb his weapon's kind of already in there. They kind of gave you a hint of how Zeb might play with Agent Callus. Let's get Zeb in the game too. Come on, guys. Come on, man. What are we waiting for? Let's get the whole Ghost crew together. And then they gave us Ahsoka, which, okay, I was super happy to see Ahsoka, and that's really cool. But she's like an occasional guest star. It's like if you're doing, it's like the Scooby-Doo crew gets Don Knotts or the Harlem Globetrotters before they get Shaggy and Scooby. Like, we need the Ghost crew all together. You know what I'm saying? It's what we got to do. But that's my number one. Let me know what didn't end up on your list, or what you had on your list that didn't end up here. There's definitely a lot of things from the Battle of Geonosis that I wanted to get on here that just didn't make my top 10. So maybe your top 10 was a little different. And that's okay. We can all have different opinions on things that we'd like. And maybe some of your thoughts are a little different. Like maybe you want, another thing that I really like is an all heroes battle. But I don't think they're going to officially do that because that would maybe make the play experience a little too close to Shatterpoint. But yeah, it's like all heroes, just Jedi and Jedi versus Sith. You know, good lightsabers versus bad lightsabers. Go. You know, like I've done that before. You can homebrew that. Just get rid of the the rules for list building and just say 800 points of heroes versus 800 points of villains. And go for it and have some fun. Play on a 3x3. Like there's a lot of other cool little things that would be cool for Legion. I want to hear some of your thoughts. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this channel possible. I will talk to you guys later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Always wash your socks. Call your mom and let her know you love her. And have a great day.